The ayes to the right, 2. The noes to the left, 291.
The ayes to the right, 2. The noes to the left, 291. So the noes have it. The noes have it. Unlock. Point of order, Angela Eagle.
Seen today the government abstain on the process of introducing English vote for English laws because they knew they had lost the argument and they were going to lose. Mr. Speaker, what could we do further to prevent this government from railroading these controversial changes through this House in only one single day of debate? They haven't even bothered to vote to support the process that they decided to do.
Order. I'll take other points of order in a moment. I think that well, of course I'll come to the honourable gentleman in a moment. We're saving him up. There's a sense in which the point of order from the right honourable lady contains a rhetorical question. I think it's fair to say that the government side has abstained on the question before the House, namely that this matter has been considered. A point has been made, nothing has been decided. Point of order, Mr David Davis.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. In fact, like your guidance on a very similar point, because, as you have told the House, this motion was simply saying we have discussed the issue today. Many of us have abstained on it rather than vote for it, because we also feel that it needs more time to be discussed at greater length. So I'm seeking your guidance as to how we communicate that to the government.
Well, I would say that the right honourable gentleman had communicated his point directly to the Leader of the House if the latter were here, but he isn't, and therefore the right honourable gentleman hasn't. That said, I've got a feeling that the point of order from the right honourable gentleman will have been heard by other representatives of the government, notably a distinguished ornament of the government whip's office in the form of the honourable gentleman member for Croydon Central. So the government will have heard. Insofar as the right honourable gentleman is arguing for more time, possibly next week, his point has been heard. We're now going to hear the point of order of the right honourable gentleman member for Gordon.
Mr. Speaker, can there is another way.
I was taking Mr. Salmond, and then I'll come to you. Of course, Mr. Skinner. Apologies.
I was just going to ask Mr. Speaker
I'd already pointed to him.
Your reassurance that you hadn't already certified that measure as something that Conservative MPs weren't allowed to vote on. We're hoping that the abstention is the first of many to come in government measures, and the Leader of the House seems not just to have abstained, but to have fled the field entirely. But the point of order made by the honourable member for Halton Price and Howden is an important one. Across this chamber, I think most of us detected a feeling that, at the very minimum, a lot more discussion needs to be had before any such measure should be railroaded, if the government has the power to do that anymore, through this House of Commons. Is that not the import of the massive vote against the government we have just had?
It's clear to me, in response to the right honourable gentleman, that there are many members in all parts of the House who believe that more time is required. It's not for the Chair to decree that, but many members in all parts of the House and of all hues of political opinion have indicated that that's their view. I'm sure that view will have been heard. And what's more, if the right honourable gentleman is dissatisfied that it has been adequately heard, I've got a feeling that he will practice perfectly properly the repetition principle, and he will keep making the point until he is satisfied that it's been heard. And meanwhile, note my apologies to the honourable gentleman. Point of order, Mr. Dennis Skinner.
There is another way of looking at this event, because the government introduced this idea with a lot of bravado. The truth is they failed to convince a majority on their side. They have a majority of 12. Most of the opposition were in the other lobby, and it's now evident that some of the government supporters were not prepared to walk through the lobby, and they decided to pull the plug. A decent government would have resigned, and that's what...
Well, I thank the honourable gentleman for his... I thank the honourable gentleman for his point of order, which requires no response from me. Point of order, Mr David Winnick.
Is it not possible, Mr Speaker, that we're being unfair to the Conservative members? Yes. Is there not a possibility that most of them didn't hear the division bell for various reasons? And in those circumstances, is there not a case for the division to be done once done again, in order that there should be absolute clarification?
Far be it from me to suggest that the honourable gentleman is trying to cause trouble. I wouldn't suggest anything of the kind to such an illustrious and long-serving member. He's made his own point in his own way, and he's got a puckish grin on his face, and I think he enjoyed it. We'll leave the matter there for now. If there are no further points of order, perhaps we can now proceed.